Hello, you're watching News Mongolia on MNB World, and I'm your host, Jaralma Tufshinjaral. Our top stories for today. His Majesty, the King of Bhutan, officially welcomed to Mongolia. Celebrating 35 years of Mongolia-European Union diplomatic relations photo exhibition launches in Brussels. State authorities issue safety advisories for heavy rain and flooding. For the news, stay tuned. At the invitation of President of Mongolia, Khulsukhna, King of Bhutan, His Majesty Jigme-Khizir Namgyel Wangchuk is currently on a state visit to Mongolia from July 8 to 15, 2024. We have details in the following report.
President Khulsukh and First Lady Bolortceg Losendorch warmly welcomed King Jigme-Khizir Namgyel Wangchuk and Queen Jetsunpema Wangchuk at Sukhwata Square, where the national anthems were performed, followed by a tribute to the 9 white banners. The ceremony concluded with the signing of the Book of Honored Guests at the State Palace of Mongolia. During a private meeting at the State Palace, President Khulsukh expressed confidence that the king's visit, rooted in shared values of heritage, peace and prosperity, would deepen bilateral relations and people-to-people ties. In response to the King of Bhutan expressed his heartfelt gratitude for the warm reception and noted the stable development of Mongolia-Bhutan relations since 2012, emphasizing their shared historical, religious and cultural bonds. Both leaders agreed that the state visit marks a pivotal moment for bilateral relations, focusing on future cooperation in political, economic, educational and environmental sectors. They highlighted the importance of joint efforts in sustainable development, including support for Mongolia's 1 billion trees national campaign and Bhutan's million fruit trees plantation project aiming to combat climate change and desertification. The leaders also emphasized expanding cooperation in agriculture, livestock, healthcare, education and tourism, facilitating exchanges through scholarship programs and aligning Mongolia's Go Mongolia campaign with Bhutan's Bhutan Believe national brand. Within the frame of the visit, Mongolia and Bhutan signed a joint statement and bilateral agreements to strengthen their legal framework and deepen collaboration in regional and international forums, reaffirming their commitment to mutual support and cooperation. During the state visit, several agreements were signed between relevant ministries and organizations, including cooperation in the field of culture, cooperation in cattle breeding and pasture development in highlands, cooperation in the field of education, cooperation in the field of traditional medicine. Additional memorandum of understanding on cooperation in television and radio broadcasting was signed between Mongolian National Broadcaster and Bhutan's Broadcasting Service Corporation.
A photo exhibition was held in Brussels to commemorate the 35th anniversary of diplomatic relations between Mongolia and the European Union. Mongolian ambassador to the European Union, Bolt, and Dominic Porter, head of the division for China, Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Mongolia at the European External Action Service, delivered opening remarks at the exhibition. Details from MNB reporter Yisuhe Mirgen.
High-level officials, including Thomas Zdechovsky, a member of the European Parliament and chair of the Central Asia Group, ambassadors of European Union member states, and representatives from the European External Action Service, EU institutions and agencies attended the launch of the exhibition. The Mongolian folk rock band Oha performed for the opening.
Why is it so important to collaborate with Mongolia, a country which is so many thousands of miles removed from Europe, let's say?
Well, the EU has the ambition of working with countries throughout the world. So 30 years ago, when I began as an EU official, our assistance, our partnerships, our cooperation was mainly focused on countries who were big trading partners, the United States, Japan, you name it, or the countries which were the least developed in the world. And so it was trade or aid. Now it's much more complex and much more sophisticated, we like to think, and Mongolia fits in very well to, I would say, all of our priorities as EU. Our wish to drive the green transition across the world. And Mongolia has a lot of work to do. We all have a lot of work to do. And if we can partner with Mongolia for that, that's vital. Economic reforms so that development can stay firmly rooted, and you have economic and social stability. That's critical. And Mongolia, needless to say, is sandwiched between China and Russia, two very large neighbors. So what we like to do is see what we can do to make sure that Mongolia helps get what it deserves, which is its own freedom, its own autonomy, as much as possible. Of course, the connections with those two countries run deep and are necessities, but particularly at this time, we believe that the third neighbor policy that Mongolia has and the partnership with Europe may be especially valuable, both for Mongolia and indeed for the EU.
Mongolia and European Union is sharing the same values. We are democratic. We are a country who support freedom of speeches, and this is why we have to cooperate much more for the future. And the European Union supported systematically your country, Mongolia, and we are very happy that you are pro-democratic country doing a lot of reform, especially in your social policy, and we are very happy to cooperate with you.
Ambassador Bolt thanked the European Union for its support during challenging times, including pandemics and natural disasters. The European Union generously provided €500,000 in humanitarian aid to help 1,850 herder households overcome difficulties caused by harsh winter weather conditions this year. The ambassador noted that Mongolia and the European Union's shared priorities of sustainable development, the green economy, energy transition, sustainable agriculture, and environmental protection are a strong foundation for strengthening relations and cooperation.
As we celebrate the 35th anniversary of Mongolia-European Union relations, it's important to highlight the significant strides we've made together. The European Union is considered one of Mongolia's third neighbors and has been a steadfast partner in expanding our relations across all levels. Over the past decade, we've signed major cooperation agreements that have paved the way for European Union programs to reduce Mongolia's dependence on mining. One notable initiative from the European Union is support for our 1 billion trees campaign. The European Union plans to create 20,000 Mongolian jobs in green development and renewable energy, and support for our SMEs are crucial to diversifying our economy and ensuring sustainable growth for our nation.
Mongolia and the European Union established diplomatic relations on August 1st of 1989. Relations between Mongolia and the European Union are based on shared values such as democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and have been strengthening in all socio-economic areas.
The National Agency of Meteorology and Environmental Monitoring and the National Emergency Management Agency have issued a flood warning and other safety advisories ahead of anticipated heavy rain and potential flooding.
Rain and storms are expected during the National Ladin Festival, which is scheduled for July 10th to 15th. Residents of Ger District and flood-prone areas are strongly advised to move to higher ground for safety. Experts say the frequency of sudden weather changes such as storms and heavy rainfall following periods of hot, dry weather has increased due to climate change. Mongolia has recently experienced unusual occurrences such as summer snowfall. It is crucial for travelers heading to the provinces and parents leaving children unattended at home to exercise caution. Preventive measures are essential to mitigate the risks associated with adverse weather conditions. Authorities are urging residents of Darhanga and Hufsgal regions to remain vigilant and prepare for flooding. People are urged to stay informed and proactive in response to evolving weather conditions. Precautionary measures can significantly minimize the impact of flooding, strong winds, and prolonged rainfall, safeguarding lives and property. Given the heavy rainfall expected this week, it is vital to follow official advisories and take necessary safety precautions.
Thank you for staying with us. Now let's take a look at currency exchange rates provided by Mongol Bank. Japan and the Philippines signed a key defense pact Monday, allowing the deployment of Japanese forces for joint military exercises, including live fire drills to the Southeast Asian nation that came under brutal Japanese occupation in World War II, but is now building an alliance with Tokyo as they face an increasingly assertive China. The Reciprocal Access Agreement, which similarly allows Filipino forces to enter Japan for joint combat training, was signed by Philippine Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro and Japanese Foreign Minister Yoko Kamikawa in a Manila ceremony witnessed by President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. It would take effect after ratification by the country's legislatures, Philippine and Japanese officials said. We recognize that the signing of the Reciprocal Access Agreement almost 6 months after negotiations began is a symbol of the maturity of Japan-Philippines cooperation to a new level. At this 2+2, I would like to discuss further strengthening national security and defense cooperation. Kamikawa called the signing of the defense agreement a groundbreaking achievement that should further boost defense cooperation between Japan and the Philippines. Kamikawa and Japanese Defense Minister Minoru Kihara later held talks with their Philippine counterparts on ways to further deepen relations. The defense pact with the Philippines is the first to be forged by Japan in Asia. Japan signed similar accords with Australia in 2022 and with Britain in 2023.
Thank you, everyone.
Now let's take a look at weather forecast for world major cities. Alright, that's all for today. Thank you for staying with us. We will see you tomorrow with more news and updates. Goodbye.